we've inspired you to stain your deck. The secret to a good result is preparation. So Sharon is back now with a 101 on how to refresh and the correct steps to take. We go through it every season, but it's worth it. It's worth it to go through it. Let's start with the prep. And you say the prep is going to take longer than the actual
It takes longer than the
restaining.
actual staining, right? Yeah. But it's so important. And after you do all that work of staining, you want to make sure it's going to last.
Yes.
So really important to make sure that your wood is ready to accept the stain.
Yes.
Right? So you buy you build your new deck and you want to stain it, but you should probably wait a year. You should let the wood naturally weather. But if you're really impatient, then there's ways you can get around it. But let's just look at this really simple test. And I'm probably going to spill water all over, but just so you see, when you do, see on this side here, it's beading.
So that's what is that what you want?
You don't want that. You do not want the beading.
That's not what you want. You want to know that whatever you're using is going to go into the wood?
It's going to penetrate into the wood,
it.
exactly.
Is
so
this
when
ready?
This is kind of getting there, but not as much as you would like.
Okay.
So when you're kind of in this situation, you know that the wood is not quite ready to stain. If you're desperate to do it anyway, you can sand the heck out of it with an 80 grit sandpaper. It's a lot of work. Or you can use
They're like, no,
just
wait.
Yeah, you can use a product to try and get it down, but you know what, just try and wait. So now you've waited a year and the wood is weathered naturally, but you still have to clean it. You have to make sure it's clean and ready to accept the stain. So I've got a photo of a typical, 2-year-old weathered deck. Yes. So it's not in horrible shape, but that gunk is going to prevent the stain from sticking. So you got to clean it. So take a look at what happens when we use the Restore product and a pressure washer. Oh my goodness. That gets it right down to that beautiful new wood from that deck that you just installed last year. Okay. So now you're ready to stain. But now, before we get into step 2, which is check the weather, you need it to be dry. Okay. Right? It needs to be totally dry. So first
it has to be porous enough to take everything you're going to give it, but it must be dry.
But you want it to take your stain, not the rain, right? Exactly. Okay, so check the weather. You want a good couple of days of dry weather before you start staining. Right. And if you can trust your weather forecaster for the next couple of days to be dry, that would be awesome, but it doesn't always happen. But try, that's what the ideal situation, right? Okay. 2 days of dry and then 2 days coming ahead. That's fair. So we know that that's going to happen, but it's clean, it's dry, you're ready to accept the stain. So now what? Well, you want to make sure it's 100% dry. A couple of things you can do. You can just test it. Tracy just saw me pour water on it, but just touch it by hand. Okay. You can kind of tell
if it's dry enough.
Yeah, feel this one.
Yeah, it feels wet.
It does feel wet. Now, because this is fairly new pressure-treated wood, so when it's new, it's kind of got a wetness in it. So it's definitely not ready to stain. And just to show you with the moisture meter, because I just love this thing, when you put it into the wet wood,
you actually plug it in there, huh?
Yeah, you just stick it in, and it's like your meat thermometer. Yes. Right? So it's not ready, it's red.
Moisture level is at, so I'm going to show you what that looks like. The moisture level is at red. That means it's very moist.
Yes, so do not.
Like it's at 9, 10.
It's rare.
It's rare.
Okay.
Don't eat it.
This one that's fairly dry, let's just see.
Let's see if it's any better.
Oh, you know what? Hang on 1 second there.
Is it even on?
There we go. Yeah. There we go.
This one's much better.
It's much better, but
because it's on.
It's on and it's in the yellow.
It's on the yellow.
So it's okay, but it's still not totally dry enough to stain. Okay. So again, you've waited 2 days, so you know it's pretty good if you don't have the moisture meter. So you're in pretty good shape. Yes. So then you are ready to stain. Okay. Now, before you want to test your color. Got it. Right?
Yes. So you have to, especially if it's a big space. Right? You want to know.
Absolutely. And when it's outside and you're talking about wood and you're talking about different opacities, the wood's going to make the color look even different. Yes. So here I have a translucent stain. Here I have a semi-transparent blue. This is Hamilton blue. Here is a solid. This is black. It's nice. Isn't that nice? Really, really nice. And then here is just our natural wood. And just a quick little demo, I'll show you. This is a semi-transparent black, just so you can see how different that semi-transparent is going to look from the solid. Right. So you can see that. So that's why you need to try it out first. Yeah. And you can buy these little samples of all of the different colors and all of the different solids, solid, semi-transparent, translucent in the Arbor coat. So you can do a little sample somewhere that's not going to be noticeable before you start buying gallons of stain.
Is that more than one coat?
That is just one coat of black stain.
That's
so really, really nice. And when you're doing it, because when you actually get to the point where you are going to stain after all that prep, really good idea with whatever kind you're using to use, if you want to use a roller, because it's a really big deck, you want to do 2 or 3 boards at a time and just try and do the full length of it as you can to avoid lap marks. But then after you've used a roller, especially if you're using a translucent or semi-transparent back brush, I know it sounds like a lot of work. Get your kids to go behind you after you're rolling it, and just back brush, so you're going with the grain and you're pushing that product into the wood, because that's the most important part.
And this brush is specifically for that,
is a specific stain brush.
That's
so
cool.
You can see that it holds a lot of stain, so it can be messy if you're applying it with the brush. You will get a lot on though, so it's good, but just make sure that the deck isn't sort of pooling. You want to make sure that the product is going in. It's not like paint where it sits on top.
Okay, so hopefully only one coat.
Should just be one coat. If you need a second coat, you want to wait till it's dry, put the second coat on. If you've used translucent or semi-transparent, in the waterborne products, there is a clear coat that goes on top to just give it ultra UV protection and water protection. But these guys are good to go on their own.
How long before you can walk on it?
I would wait 48 hours for heavy foot traffic.
Got it. Okay, very good
and there
tips.
You go.
Thank you.